Okay, lots to cover here. I want to just kind of go deeper into what the Kash Patel nomination represents. And I want to hear from you, freedom@charliekirk.com. What do you think about Kash Patel being nominated as FBI director? You see, there's this misunderstanding that the FBI is its own branch of government, that the DOJ is its own independent agency. That is not correct. The Department of Justice and the FBI answer directly to the President of the United States.
Charlie Kirk dives headfirst into why Kash Patel's nomination as FBI director is a game changer and takes no prisoners while doing so. From slamming the FBI as a rogue fourth branch of government to calling out the Wilsonian virus infecting America, Kirk lays down an argument that's both bold and controversial. Meanwhile, MSNBC's Tim Miller isn't holding back either, calling Patel the most dangerous nominee to democracy. It's a battle of ideologies. Is the FBI a tool of accountability or an unaccountable leviathan? Let's break it all down, hit the pauses at key moments, and keep it real.
Woodrow Wilson, who won in a spoofy election in 1912 with a plurality but not a majority of votes against William Howard Taft and Teddy Roosevelt, as Teddy Roosevelt was doing the Bull Moose Party after he was upset and the direction that William Howard Taft went, became president. Woodrow Wilson ushered in a new philosophical contagion. You could call it a governmental virus into the American body politic. Woodrow Wilson believed that the form and the structure that the founding fathers put forward, the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch, those three co-equal branches of government with tension and with separation of powers, that was an antiquated model. Woodrow Wilson was the first president to vocally oppose and to speak against the founders and their intent for America. He said, we need to bring in and usher in a new way of governing. And that way he looked at was very similar to a John Dewey and Hegelian way of viewing history, but it was about creating bureaucracies that were not necessarily accountable to the executive, accountable to the legislative, but they're a council of experts. You see, Woodrow Wilson, being a college professor himself, saw this as an opportunity to be able to bring in the smart people to run government. Cass Sunstein is a modern equivalent as an inheritor of this belief. So Woodrow Wilson set up this 100-year detour away from the founders' vision of government. Over the last 100 years, we have seen more federal agencies be formed than Americans could list. In fact, I'm helping out with the presidential transition team wherever I'm needed, and I look at some of these agencies. I've never heard of them before. OIRA, commissions and boards that you would like, what do these people do all day long? Why do you exist? What is your purpose? What is your task? And they couldn't even tell you. Oh, our purpose is to make sure the GBIP and the DDAP and the FT work together with the W4. Like, what? And it's all this acronym speak, and it merges together in a very, very confusing way. But more importantly, is it's not what the founders intended. This is what we call the fourth branch of government. The fourth branch of government is an unaccountable, unknown, unelected bureaucracy that is against the will of the American people.
This is a bold claim, no doubt. Kirk paints the FBI as the muscle of the so-called administrative state. But here's the thing. While Kirk attacks the FBI for being unaccountable, he's suspiciously quiet on past abuses by the agency when it targeted groups on the left. If we're going to rip the FBI apart, let's not cherry pick who gets the blame.
And we are going to see the greatest climax of that war, started with Woodrow Wilson, come to fruition this coming administration. The question is, who is in charge of America? Is it the people or the bureaucrats? Is it the American people that are sovereign? Or is it this unelected ruling class, this career civil service that runs the country? Who is in charge? Is the presidency a ceremonial role where you do ribbon cuttings, Christmas parties, host Little League baseball champions, bring the Super Bowl winner over and smile when the bureaucracy runs the government? Or does it have teeth? Does it have real meaning in our country? That is the open question in front of the country right now, in front of what is going to happen with this new Trump administration. The secret police of the fourth branch of government is the FBI. The FBI is the enforcement arm of the administrative state. The FBI was never actually chartered by Congress. It started as a Bureau of Investigation by Attorney General Charles Bonaparte and grew into now one of the most powerful organizations, one of the most unconstitutional organizations in American history. President Calvin Coolidge first appointed J. Edgar Hoover to the Bureau of Investigation in 1924. J. Edgar Hoover grew the Bureau of Investigation into the Leviathan that we know as the FBI today. J. Edgar Hoover, you have to look at this guy, and I'm not going to get into some of the alleged weird parts of his life, which are not even necessarily proven. But it's interesting. How did J. Edgar Hoover survive as FBI director from 1935 to 1972? Think about that. He was FBI director for 37 years. That is not normal. To be in charge of a country's secret police for 37 years, you better believe that he had blackmail on almost every single elected leader. And that was a strategy that he embraced. He served under FDR, served under Truman, served under Dwight D. Eisenhower, served under JFK, served under Lyndon Baines Johnson, served under Richard Nixon. Hoover expanded the FBI beyond just crime fighting, and he led the charge to make the FBI an intel agency. The FBI has never, and still to this day, does not have a congressional mandate to collect intelligence on the American people. It has a mandate to enforce laws that are currently on the books. And you can make a good argument, why does the FBI even exist in the first place? It was not part of the founders' vision to have a standing red guard that could be deployed against political dissidents, which of course is what it does today. And we all saw the pictures during Floydapalooza of FBI agents wearing masks kneeling. The FBI has become the muscle of the woke.
And here we go. Kirk shifts gears to accuse the FBI of pandering to progressive politics, referencing Floydapalooza as proof. Let's be honest, this is a blatant appeal to his base, but it glosses over decades of bipartisan misuse of the agency. The FBI isn't woke or conservative. It's a political tool used by whoever's in power.
The FBI was once one of the finest fighting forces against crime in the 70s and 80s, and even earlier than that, and has turned into a disgusting, repulsive version of its former self. President Trump appointing the very qualified Kash Patel to become FBI director is an attempt to realign what the FBI should be, reporting directly to the President of the United States. You see, the media believes the FBI should be its own island. Can't touch it, can't see it. They rule themselves, they govern themselves. No one can even ask questions of them. They have superseding authority over the entire federal government. This is MSNBC's reaction to Kash Patel becoming FBI director. Listen carefully to Tim Miller, play cut 30.
Is there enough backbone there, do you think, to defeat multiple nominees?
I don't know. I think it's possible. And look, we saw it with Matt Gaetz already, and I think that I was actually surprised how quickly that happened. To me, Kash Patel, and I don't say this lightly, is the most dangerous nominee that we've seen yet to our democracy. I mean, you might think that having Pete Hegseth running the military is a greater level of danger because of his lack of experience, or Tulsi Gabbard at intelligence. But just as far as the threats to democracy that we were warning about before the election, and Kash Patel was a key player inside the Trump White House pushing for and orchestrating the coup attempt in 2020. He was trying to completely take control of the Justice Department at the time. He was Trump's top lieutenant who was willing to do anything and advance any lie in service of his attempt to overturn that last election, to such a degree that there were many people that were Trump appointees in 2020 who were staying around and saying no, like standing in the breach and saying, no, not Kash Patel. Like, you cannot put Kash Patel as a temporary leader of the Justice Department, et cetera. These are Trump appointees. And so, I will see what happens in the Senate. But if Trump had people around him that were quasi-loyalists that were like, that guy's too far, who knows what that'll mean for the Senate.
Now, if you listen carefully, they're talking about the independence of the FBI. Wait, hold on. Either the FBI falls under the president's jurisdiction or it does not. The FBI should not operate as an intelligence gathering service on the American people, which, by the way, is completely and totally unconstitutional. The FBI has used the Patriot Act to spy on your text messages, to look at your emails, to go after completely innocent people and be this massive information gathering service where our freedoms and our liberties evaporate. But more importantly, Kash Patel will reform the FBI and say, get out of D.C. and go after child sex traffickers.
Kirk ends with the promise of justice under Patel, but is this realistic? Reforming entrenched bureaucracies is no easy task, and claiming the FBI would suddenly pivot to a noble crime-fighting mission feels overly simplistic. If Patel is such a game changer, let's see actual plans instead of just rhetoric.
Why are there thousands of FBI agents at desks every single day? What do? If you want to keep your badge, go into the field, find the bad guys, go find drug smugglers, go find sex traffickers. Don't go after political opponents just because they have Trump Facebook posts that you don't like. What you are witnessing and what is about to unfold is a 100-year clash and battle of the Wilsonian view of government versus the founders, and we'll see who wins.
Kirk's take is bold and delivers a powerful critique of the FBI and the federal bureaucracy, but it's not without its blind spots. He hammers home Wilson's role as the root of all evil and touts Patel as a savior, while MSNBC's Tim Miller fires back with alarmist rhetoric about democracy at stake. Who's right? Depends on your view of the FBI's role in America, but one thing's for sure, this video doesn't pull punches, and neither should you in the comments. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and be sure to subscribe to see more content similar to this one. Take care.